The Secretary will read the order.
Debate on vote number 38, Human Settlements Appropriation Bill.
I now invite the Honourable Minister of Human Settlements that will introduce a maiden budget vote. Honourable Minister.
Honorable House Chairperson, Deputy Minister of Department of Human Settlement, Zoe Fredericks, Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Honorable Members of Parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a special day in the history and calendar of our nation. It was on this day, the 10th of May 1994, that Nelson Mandela was inaugurated as the first president of a democratic South Africa. I feel honored, privileged, but mostly humbled to deliver my maiden budget vote speech as a minister in the Republic of South Africa on this historic day. In his inauguration speech, Madiba proclaimed that the time for the healing of wounds has come, the moment to bridge the chasm that divides us has come, the time to build is upon us. I understood Madiba's appeal when he said the time to build is upon us, to literally mean building houses for the poor, building homes and shelter for the homeless, but more importantly, building hope for the hopeless and restoration of dignity. Honorable members, the budget is an important instrument to effect policy and delivery interventions. It is an important mechanism that has a direct impact on the living standard of our people. With this powerful instrument, we seek to pursue our objective of a better life for all. Whilst we remain committed to addressing and eradicating the enormous shelter backlogs of yesteryear, we must also focus our interventions towards shaping and building future human settlements. The pressing needs to concentrate on the present does not and must not imply disregard for the future. Honorable members, this budget process presents an excellent opportunity to refocus our thinking about human settlement. In doing so, lest we forget that the objective and the intent of policy shift towards the creation of sustainable human settlement as opposed to merely the building of houses. Instead, we must gravitate more towards the latter and the spirit of what was envisioned when we conceptualized and created Human Settlement Department. Human Settlement was structured to bring together three integrated areas, namely spatial integration, housing and infrastructure, as well as economic development. This is the human settlement mandate that we strive to implement. Our vision for human settlement must be informed by, firstly, houses that symbolizes dignity, security of tenure, financial security, and safety and comfort. Secondly, human settlement must reshape and integrate our spatial order. And thirdly, we need to align economic and social imperatives by developing human settlement in well-located strategic spaces. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, indeed the time to build is upon us. It is an unparalleled and extraordinary time to build. It is the golden era of human settlement expansion. It is an era that is propelled by significant catalytic building programs that will reshape and transform our spatial order forever. The government and private sector have initiated human settlement catalytic project with an estimated investment value worth more than R500 billion. The Human Settlement Expansion Program will unleash much needed economic investment and significantly contribute towards the President's investment drive. The golden era of human settlement expansion will drastically address the housing backlog and the increasing housing needs pressuring our society. It will stimulate human settlement economic value chain, specifically the property development sector, create decent jobs, and vastly benefit the construction industry. The transformation spin-offs must benefit youth and women in the sector. Honorable members, I take pride in saying history will be made. The scope and magnitude of the golden era of human settlement expansion will facilitate the development of new cities in our country. This will be integrated cities with modern economic and social infrastructure and will fulfill our dream of a prosperous Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, the success of this relies on 4 critical pillars of success. Firstly, land assembly. Secondly, formidable institution. Thirdly, funding. And lastly, cutting-edge expertise. Honorable members, allow me to elaborate on the critical pillars of success. On land assembly, the failure or success of our human settlement expansion program depends on accessing and releasing optimally located land. Houses can only be built on land which is suitable and well located. We have never hidden our conviction, which we continue to proclaim, that land expropriation is ultimately inevitable in order to meet the wider and best interest of our society. The modalities of land expropriation was the only subject matter which required clear articulation and implementation. This year marks the 142nd anniversary since the birth of Sol Plaatje, the first Secretary General of the South African Native National Congress, the parent of the African National Congress. His classic book, Native Life in South Africa, celebrates its 102nd anniversary this year. If there was ever a book in South African literature, that details the immeasurable pain of what it means to be turned into pariah in the land of our birth, it is this book. One could never finish the book without shedding a tear about the dehumanization of African people by the settlers' colonial government dating back from 1652. We also acknowledge that since the dawn of democracy, there have been NGOs that have done truly impressive work to galvanize for the resettlement of dispossessed people back to city centers. Ladies and gentlemen, my ministry and the department will be engaging with various stakeholders who own strategic land parcels suitable for human settlement development. These include private sector landowners, state-owned companies, municipalities, and national government who own suitable land. The Housing Development Agency is specifically purposed by national legislation to spearhead land assembly for human settlement. The HDA Act empowers the entity to act and intervene decisively in land acquisition. Therefore, the role of the HDA is important now more than ever before. To this end, we will drive a robust campaign with the sole intention of unlocking land to house South Africans. Let me now turn to the second pillar, formidable institution. The institutions and entities charged with the responsibility of human settlement development ought to be capable and possesses the necessary governance integrity, technical and operational efficiency. Our institutions, ranging from the national department, provincial department, municipality and government entities, must rise up to the challenge and enhance their capacity to discharge this important mandate. Equally so, the political machinery of ministers, premiers, MEC, mayors, and MMCs require the political courage and resolve to drive massive task of human settlement expansion. The HDA, Human Settlement Development Bank, the NHBRC, the SHRA, the Community Scheme Ombuds Service, as well as the Estate Agency Affairs Board, are very strategic and important entities to drive this expansion program. The HDA will be at the forefront of project management and land assembly, while the Human Settlement Development Bank will play a strategic role to mobilize and deploy the required funding. The NHBRC is key in ensuring the protection of consumers by ensuring quality of housing developments. The Social Housing Regulatory Authority must spearhead the increased development of public sector affordable rental stock for student accommodation and other initiatives such as rehabilitation of dilapidated inner city buildings as important housing mix. Therefore, SHRA becomes very important in facilitating urban consolidation and redevelopment. I have resolved to revive and strengthen the role of the Strategic Infrastructure Program, SIP7, which is focused on the integration of the human settlements, transport, water, and other infrastructural projects in the 13 biggest cities in the country. SIP7 is one of the presidential infrastructure programs. This program offers the department an exceptional opportunity to coordinate, align, and jointly execute projects with municipalities. Secondly, with regard to human settlement entities, there will be no room for poor governance, poor performance, financial management, and corruption. I am determined to remove board members who compromise the integrity and hinder the functioning of the entities. There are several board vacancies and board renewals. We will consider those carefully with the aim to strengthen the board. And with regards to executive performance and conduct, we shall ensure that the boards hold them accountable and regularly reviews their performance. The ministry and the department is in the process of assessing the capacity requirement and support needed by entities. We will specifically enhance the project management and land assembly capabilities of HDA, while we fast-track the establishment and capitalization of the Human Settlement Development Bank. And thirdly, there will be zero tolerance towards poor performance by both provinces and municipalities, especially in respect of grant performance. This conduct not only reverses resources allocation, but fundamentally undermines the community's right towards housing. We have also observed concerning patterns of maladministration in housing delivery system. I am determined to work effectively with my colleagues in the provinces and municipality to root out this practice. Honorable members, funding of the expansion program is the third pillar of our success. The funding regime presents both challenges and opportunities. It is a matter that will require boldness, innovation, and strategic partnership. It is known that our economy has experienced some setbacks in terms of growth and overall economic performance recently. Unfortunately, this has constrained the fiscal's ability to fund some of the key programs of the human settlement expansion. As we present the budget, you will observe that the human settlement budget has suffered a massive cut in the order of 10 billion rands over the 2018-2019 MTFF. We have adopted a strategy that seeks to ensure that government funding must leverage or be matched with other forms of funding, including funding from DFIs and the private sector. Therefore, the budget cuts create a vacuum which will require us to fund creative and innovative measures to close the financial gap. The above challenge of the limitation of national fiscus present an opportunity for the private sector financial institution to partner with government and close the gap. The financial institutions, inclusive of the banks in particular, have a crucial role to play in human settlement. Funding low-cost and affordable housing is indeed a pressing need. Sadly, however, the doors of financial institutions continue to be firmly shut in this area. We are particularly concerned about the continuing reluctance of major banks and the lack of product innovation to enable access to housing loans by ordinary people in ordinary jobs with ordinary incomes. As articulated before, the Human Settlement Development Bank is posed by design to lead and create financial instruments and packages that are attractive for the private sector. The Ministry and the Department, on the advice of Human Settlement Development Bank, will embark on a program to engage with development finance institutions and create a space for them to contribute both investment knowledge and financial assets into the sector. Jointly with other FDIs, we can tackle the challenge of funding the expansion program. Honorable members, without necessary cutting-edge expertise, our efforts will not succeed. The knowledge, skills, and expertise of building major infrastructure programs, the built environment, and construction is crucial. Acknowledging the country's skills base, combined with the current sector expertise, we are determined to search and deploy those with expertise to drive our program. The department is in the process of finalizing an appointment of a panel of experts. This will range from former DGs, CEOs, CFOs, technical experts, and engineers who will deal with various reviews and advise the department. The panel is expected to use part of the evaluations, recommendations, international and local best practices emanating from some provinces, municipalities, and academic institutions to craft policy and enabling legislation that will take South Africa forward. Honorable members, let us now turn our focus to the key budget priorities for 2018-2019. The Department of Human Settlement plays a fundamental role in our society by addressing the most pressing needs of our people, being housing. There is no dispute that human settlement are at the core of our society's well-being and the lifeline of millions of our people. The budget priorities for 2018-2019 must ensure that there is synergy and alignment with the cabinet-approved programs and the constitutional mandate of the department, which is embedded in Section 26 of the Constitution and the Vision 2030 as articulated in Chapter 8 of the National Development Plan. The following priorities are set for 2018-2019 financial year: land acquisition and expropriation, transformation targets. The human settlement value chain has key elements such as land and labor, material infrastructure and financing. The value chain will be used to effect transformation in the industry to be able to respond to the problem of poverty and unemployment. On title deeds, the title deed is a national priority. The Human Settlement Department is dealing with this growing challenge and has now taken action to address the backlog of the uncollected title deeds. This financial year, a new title deed restoration grant of 518.6 million is introduced and allocated to provinces to address this backlog. 275.8 million of the grant will be spent on actual registration of some 163,000 title deeds. 147.2 million will be directed towards township proclamation for 532 projects to ensure that properties are registerable with the required town planning, land surveying, and engineering standards met. The department has partnered with the city's support program of the National Treasury to provide support to the cities. Fast tracking of catalytic projects. The department will be fast tracking the implementation of catalytic projects that have since passed the readiness test of the department. These projects have been aligned to initiatives to drive economic growth and job creation as announced by the Minister of Finance. Government requires the incubation program for small contractors, especially women and youth contractors. This program will be monitored by myself, the Deputy Minister, and the MECs in all 9 provinces to make sure that it happens. Honorable members, let me also list key legislation that will require attention of Parliament at different times. The Human Settlement Bill, the Property Practitioners Bill, the Home Loan and Mortgage Disclosure Amendment Bill, the Housing Consumers Protection Measures Amendment Bill, and the Human Settlement Development Bank Bill. Honorable members and ladies and gentlemen, I now turn to the budget, our budget of Human Settlement Department. For 2018-2019 financial year, Parliament appropriated an amount of 32.3 billion to the department. The amount of 31.3 billion is allocated as grant funding and transfers to provinces, municipalities, and human settlement entities. 11.3 billion as grant to the 8 metropolitan municipalities to supplement bulk infrastructure, water sanitation, refuse removal, roads and stormwater, as well as fire stations, library, community halls, and it further funds acquisition of land and buildings for inner city improvement precincts and densification. An amount of 1.1 billion has been allocated as transfers to the human settlement entities that I counted before. An amount of 787.6 million has been allocated to the department for operational expenditure, including 376.9 million for compensation of employees. 140 million as a grant to municipality in respect of emergency housing, while 260 million to provinces also for emergency housing.
Honourable Minister, you have 2 minutes left.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed the time to build is upon us. As I conclude, let me quickly reflect on some critical issues. It's my maiden speech, Chair. I want to take this opportunity, I want to take this moment and share humbling experience of service delivery. On the 17th of April, I had a distinct honor to unveil the plaque at Tembelihle Social Housing Project in Pretoria, CBD. This social housing project is undoubtedly a model of what we mean when we talk about sustainable and integrated human settlement project. The demographic composition, composition of the residents by and large represent that of South Africa. making it a true model for the future of human settlements. At Tembelihle, I was moved when I met the Naidu family, the mother who was a homeless person, who later got a job as a cleaner and could afford some rent, got a place in Tembelihle, and today her beautiful family lives in a secure shelter that warmly received me when I visited Pretoria. There's the Naidu family. The other person who opened their doors to us is a young man who was involved in an accident that led him to being an amputee. He also stays in one of the specially designed apartments in Tembelihle to accommodate people who are differently able. We have the privilege of being graced by the two presence of the Naidu family, as we've seen. In the Eastern Cape, we recently visited another Tembelihle. In this Tembelihle in East London, we were approached by the Choba family who expressed their deepest gratitude for being recipient of B&G House. This house offered this family dignity that people of Eastern Cape require. They have also graced us with their presence. Mam Choba, Notatu Choba, ndicela niphakame ngobuhle benu. Honorable members, the Department of Human Settlement has a scholarship program that has funded 372 students nationwide. We
Point of
fund,
order, Sihlalo.
we fund them to
Order, Sihlalo.
Yes, honorable member. Why are you rising, honorable member?
Ihlombe liyakhala phezulu angazi noma kuvumelekile la. Rule 54 uthi nje akuvumelekile laba phezulu bashaya ihlombe. No.
Yes, no,
As,
no,
as I conclude,
no, just hold, honorable minister. No, we really appreciate the presence in the gallery of all the guests. You are here to observe proceedings and not to participate in the proceedings.
Point
you.
of order, Chair.
Yes,
Point
yes.
of order, Chair.
What honorable members, I can't hear.
Isikhathi sakhe uMinister siphelile.
askapheli.
Dala siphelile. Dala.
No, honorable member. No, honorable member, we are adjusting the time of the minister when she closes. Right? That is what the table staff is doing. We are adjusting the time of the minister, and the minister will now conclude.
As I conclude, it would be remiss not to express my gratitude
Order, Chair.
to warm working relationship.
Yes, honorable member.
Yeah, I think we need to be consistent with the rules of this house. The minister is allocated
Order,
25
honorable members. Order.
25 minutes is the allocation. I think we need explanation to
No,
you.
honorable member, I've dealt with the matter. I've indicated that we are adjusting. Adjusting meaning that we are taking the time away at the end. That is what we are doing. So the minister won't have 5 minutes at the end to conclude. She'll have less time to respond to the debate.
Yes.
Honorable Minister?
Yes, thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity to thank the department, the deputy minister, and all those who took their time to assist in preparing for this budget. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed the time to build is upon us. And ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to formally present and table the Department of Human Settlement Budget Vote 2018-2019. Ke a leboha.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I now call upon the Honorable Mafu.
Thank you, House Chair. Mphathiswa wesebe lokuhlaliswa koluntu, uMam Noma India Mfeketho, masikwamkele kweli sebe. Sinethemba lokuba uyakuziva usekhaya. Sekela mphathiswa, unkosikazi Zowukota Fredericks, ongqongqoshe abakhoyo abaphuma kumaphondo, abanye abaphathiswa abakule ndlu yowiso-mthetho, osekela abaphathiswa abakhoyo, amalungu epalamente abekekileyo, indwendwe zethu, abantu boMzantsi Afrika, bhotani. Sihlalo, siqala ngokudlulisa amazwi ovelwano kusapho olushiywe ngabantwana abahlanu nabantu abathathu kwintlekele yomlilo obhubhise kwindawo yogobityholo eTaiwan, eKhayelitsha, apha eNtshona Koloni. Sibuhlungu yindlela abantu bakuthi abasoloko bezifumana bekuyo ebeka ubomi babo emngciphekweni. Sithi tutwini. Sisoloko sikhumbuza izibhambathiso zomqulu wenkululeko kunye nomgaqo-siseko welizwe apho sibabaza ukubaluleka kwamalungelo abantu kunye nesidima sabo esadlwengulwa ingcinezelo nokunyashwa kwamalungelo abo. Umqolo wama-26 phaya komgaqo-siseko uchaza ngokubanzi ngamalungelo abantu ngokuphathelele kwizindlu nokuhlaliswa kwabo. Isibhambathiso sombutho wesizwe sonyulo luka-2014, i-election manifesto ukutsho oko, sitsho ngokumhlophe ukuba iindawo zokuhlala ezidibanise bonke abantu zibalulekile. Ukulungiswa kweendawo zogobityholo kusemqoka. Ukunikezelwa kobunini bezindlu kubalulekile. Ukukhathelelwa kwabo sithi xa sibabiza missing middle, ootishala, amapolisa, abongikazi, nabo bonke abo basebenzela urhulumente ekufumaneni indawo zokuhlala. Umqulu karhulumente, le nto siyibiza ngokuba yi-medium term strategic framework, phantsi komphumela wesibhozo othi ukuphuculwa kwempilo yamakhaya nokukhawuleziswa kokuhlaliswa kwabantu. Thathe le miba ke elisebe yayenza inkqubo yalo, le nto sithi yiprogram. Inkomfa yombutho wesizwe kunyaka odlule phaya eNazareth iqinisekisile ukuba elisebe liza kwenza ngempumelelo konke oku. Umongameli wesizwe obekekileyo, uMnumzana Cyril Ramaphosa, utsho mhlophe ukuba elisebe lidlala indima enkulu kwinguqu engqongqo yoqoqosho, radical economic transformation, nophuhliso loluntu, kwaye lubalulekile ekulweni indlala, intswela ngqesho kunye nokungalingani. Sihlalo, ikomiti yezokuhlaliswa koluntu ishukuxile ke umba wohlahlo lwabiwo-mali lwelisebe esilibiza ngoba nguVote 38 ngomhla we-17, i-18 ne-19 kwinyanga edlulileyo kunye namaqumrhu elisebe. Yaze ke ingxelo le yekomiti yamkelwa ngamalungu ngomhla wesi-3 kule nyanga simi kuyo. Siyawubona ke umsebenzi omkhulu ophethwe lisebe wokuqinisekisa ukuba abantu boMzantsi Afrika bayayiphila into yokuba ukuhlaliswa koluntu ayisosibonelelo nje, koko lilungelo lokuphila kwabo. Siyazingca ke ngomsebenzi owenziwa lelisebe, kodwa siyavuma ukuba asekhona amakhwiniba phana phaya. Umhloli jikelele wezimali, Auditor General, naye uyancoma. Siyaxhasa ke olu hlahlo lwabiwo-mali. Sihlalo, the 2018-19 budget of the department, which is about 32.3 billion rands allocated to the department, is a crucial instrument towards achieving the salient objective of the National Development Plan, such as transforming spatial planning, securing well-located land for affordable housing, and transforming the property sector. That is why the Portfolio Committee on Human Settlement here today is here to support this budget so that the department continues delivering on its mammoth task. The work done by the department through its budget allocation is crucial towards South Africa reaching the Sustainable Development Goals. The department's Breaking New Ground policy finds expression with the goals 1, 2, and 11 of these SDGs. House Chair, the Human Settlements Development Grant which amounts to about 18 billion, is the one that the department distributes to provinces. We continue to note that performances of provinces is the lifeline of overall performance of the national department. We continue, therefore, to be concerned about the performance of some provinces, particularly Northwest, Limpopo, and Gauteng. While a significant amount of the budget of these aforementioned provinces has been moved to the Housing Development Agency, which is the entity of the department and also an implementing agent, we hope that the capacity of HDA will be improved such that provinces will benefit value for their money, which will then improve an overall performance of the department. We also note that HDA, Minister, is responsible for catalytic projects across the country. That's a big responsibility, which needs a big capacity. The Urban Settlement Development Grant, which is allocated to metros, take about 11 billion of this budget. The metros must utilize the bulk of this grant for informal settlements upgrade and infrastructure. Mangaung, Buffalo City, eThekwini, Tshwane, and Nelson Mandela are not doing too badly on this grant, but we are concerned about Nelson Mandela and how it wants to spend the extra allocation given to them by the department. That situation must be monitored, DG. We know that you are close to it. You have written to them. We await your report. The city of Cape Town has never spent 100% of this grant ever since its inception in 2011. Despite the mammoth challenges of service delivery that the city is facing, we have requested them to furnish the committee with a list of informal settlements that they are busy upgrading. We are still waiting for that list. In the meantime, we see through media that an informal settlement called Island has been demolished with shacks of the people, the owners still, their belongings still inside. And we really want a report on this. We commend the city of Cape Town, though, for being able to channel some of this grant from the previous financial year to assist with the drought crisis. We sincerely hope that this was not for the benefit of the Israel government, as it was alleged. The Joburg Metro has been a disappointment for this committee. This metro could not even spend 50% of its budget. With all the challenges of service delivery protests, they still are unable to spend, even with some of their funds reallocated to other metros. They have not finished their budget. Please, Minister, we seek your urgent attention here. The department must explain to the committee as to what intervention measures are they going to implement. We need a report as soon as possible. Chair, although we still have challenges concerning the availability of land for establishment of residential areas in well-located areas, closer development and places of work, we are pleased with the resolution of the Joint Coordinating Committee, which resolved that all state land and property will be offered to the department first before it gets sold. The Housing Development Agency and, to some extent, Social Housing Regulatory Authority are at the forefront of reclaiming well-located state land and properties situated in urban areas. This is the progressive collaboration required as we journey towards dismantling historical spatial patterns and constructing integrated communities in South Africa. House Chair, challenges with land acquisition, however, are not a license for our people to invade and unlawfully erect dwellings. The department and government is doing the best it can in providing shelter. Our people must try and work with us. House Chair, we are pleased that the department is in discussion with the Department of Higher Education on our recommendation on student accommodation. That level of proactivity and commitment is commendable. We await progress on this soon. Chair, we are keeping a close eye on the pace and reach of the transformation in property sector. We urge the Estate Agents Affairs Board and the department to accelerate and enhance its transformation initiatives. The committee wishes to see an enlarged footprint and greater visibility of human settlements entities throughout the country. Chair, I want to extend a word of appreciation to the members of the committee, the respect that they display and cooperation during our deliberations. It contributes in assisting the department as well in meeting its objectives. Keep up the good work, my colleagues. Furthermore, we want to appreciate the cooperation we have always received from the officials of the department and its entities, led by the Director General, Mr. Mbulelo Changani. Our interactions with yourselves is not always rosy, but all of you understand the bigger picture. To the support staff, the content advisor, Usabelo, the committee assistant, Ustabiso, the researcher, Utsepo, and committee secretary, Ukoliswa, thank you very much. To my secretary, Ulonwabo Khoko, thank you for tolerating my mood swings. House Chair, umsebenzi wokwakha uMzantsi Afrika ngowomntu wonke kwaye ayingomsebenzi omncinane. Isebe eli libonakalisile ukuba liwulungele lo msebenzi. Yiyo loo nto sifuna niqhubele phambili ngomsebenzi omhle kangaka. Siyaphinda ke siyatsho, siyaluxhasa olu hlahlo lwabiwomali. Nikani ke bantu bakuthi ukhongoloze eli thuba aqhubeke ukwenza impilo zenu zibe ngcono. Egameni likaMadiba, umama uSisulu, nendima yabo abayidlale kumzabalazo wethu, masithi bhazalala singabantu boMzantsi Afrika, sikhumbuza abantu okokuba xa kuyokuvotwa kunyaka ozayo, awukho omnye umbutho ngaphandle kombutho wesizwe, i-African National Congress. Ndiyabulela kwaye nabantu boMzantsi Afrika bayabulela. Inkosi.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Baga.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Good afternoon to all the members that are around and our guests. Chairperson, Section 2 of the Housing Act compels all three spheres of government to prioritize the needs of the poor in respect of housing development. Millions of poor South Africans are looking to the government to provide them with adequate housing to restore their dignity and that of their families. Shelter, a basic human right, is the very area in which the ANC has left a lot to be desired in terms of delivery of housing in the whole country. Human Settlements Department in most provinces is crippled by corruption, fraudulent housing allocation, and the mismanagement of public funds. The money spent does not match houses built out of this particular budget. At the housing project in Tabong, Velkom, because we travel around the country, where people were moved to a piece of land with no basic services. Those people are still living there from 2014 for a project that was to be finished in 2016. 220 million was spent, and that's in the Free State. Secondly, under the same project, you will find that the people that were paid is a Mrs. Mbalula, a Mutsuneng, who were afforded the money but never did a bit of job on it. All that is there are trenches that were dug and pipes that were ripped off of copper, and that's all that is there for the past 4 years. At the housing project again, in Fochelsfontein, Free State, in Bethlehem, again, a daughter of Ace Magashule, the SG of the ANC, was given 70 million rands. We went to that project. When we got there, spillage of sewage is lying around the people there. A pregnant woman with young kids, there's sewage that is popping out of her bathroom. Meanwhile, hers is not working. So it comes from other houses. Now, I'm sure those people have a good story to tell. Now, the DA has laid charges in Bethlehem for an investigation under this project, and we bring this to the attention of the minister, that as she gets into this department, she must know what she has to deal with. Performance of the department in dispersing title deeds is shocking, to say the least. The Western Cape government is the front runner in issuing of title deeds. No, Mamela. Yesterday we were in Delft, where 2,000 title deeds were given to people of Delft. Yesterday. Now, the dignity of those people is now restored because they have a piece of paper to show what they owe. We, however, cannot say about a thing about an 84-year-old lady from Fixburg, Maume Makhala, from Fixburg, who has a title deed which states that her house was built in 2004. Guess what? She lives in a shack, she doesn't have a house. I have the details of that person because we travel. We are not just doing lip service. There is a need for a credible national database for housing, because the current one is only looked at when friends have to be given houses. It's only looked at when those who are connected have to get houses. In Unit B, Mdantsane, where we went on oversight, there's a project there that was done almost 5 years ago. People have no basic services. Officials sold houses. Some paid money to get houses. Guess what? They never even got the houses that they paid for. And those officials and public representatives are known in the area. Now we're saying, Minister, we must not sit here. Let's go out so that before we stand here and talk, we must know what we're talking about. As I move along, in Pagamisa in the Eastern Cape, near Zwelicha, if you know that part of the world, there's a housing project wherein a ward councillor has given houses to people that he likes. And people in that area, in Zwelicha, who are beneficiaries, we have a list of those individuals, because we're not doing lip service again. Now, they are forced, as we speak, to sign letters so that the illegal occupants of those houses can get electrical connection from Eskom. That's what's happening today in Zwelicha, in the Eastern Cape. In the Northwest Province, the West Province of all, in the province of the Western Cape, of the Northern Cape, Northwest, what they did, in the Northwest Province.
Order, honorable members, order.
No, relax. In the Northwest Province.
Honorable member,
That
unfortunately, your
province
time is now expired.
Are you sure?
Thank you. The next speaker is the Honorable Mashabele.
Honorable Chairperson, the EFF rejects this budget vote on human settlement. It is highly insufficient to deal with the housing challenges facing our people, and it fails to reimagine the country's approach to the problem of housing backlogs and urban sprawl, and that this is a consequence of cluttered development that we have not been able to unclutter since 1994. As a consequence of urban sprawl,
Chair.
we have over the past
order.
few years seen
Honorable
and
Mashabela.
actively participated
Honorable Mashabela.
in a citizen-driven
Honorable
program
Mashabela,
of
can I take a
proactive.
point of order, please? Yes, Honorable Member.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. Sorry to disturb. I just wanted to know who's the member. I don't know that member in the committee.
Okay. It's fine. Continue, Honorable Mashabela.
I don't have time to
Can you-
answer
It's fine.
those useless questions from there. As a
Okay,
consequence
honourable
of
members,
urban
can we give
sprawl,
her a chance, please?
we have over the past few years seen and actively participated in a citizen-driven program of proactive land reposition in urban centers to enable poor and homeless South Africans to at least have access to shelter. We encourage this revolutionary program of land repossession because for far too long, our people have been waiting for the application of the right to housing in terms of Section 26 of the Constitution of the Republic. And the ANC has failed to realize this right. The dehumanizing reality of homelessness, the psychological injury of not having a space to call your own, are both rooted in the history of land dispossession and the brutal apartheid project of social engineering. What we see happening now in Mitchell's Plain, having our people fighting against each other, is exactly what Wise wanted, and that the DA here in the Western Cape still wants. The consequence of this has been extremely bad. It was reported last year that Gauteng has a housing backlog of at least 1 million, but at least 100,000 people move to Johannesburg every year, making the elimination of this backlog almost impossible. The failure of the post-1994 regime to devolve developmental nodes and promote industrialization in areas than other cities developed during apartheid means that we will have more and more people moving into few cities and towns, looking for employment and not having any place to stay. There are a number of solutions to this problem, which the ANC is not eager to explore. In the short term, the state must be able to expropriate land without compensation and build affordable housing in areas closer to the cities where people work. We need our people moved closer to where they work. This is what Patricia de Lille was trying to do in Cape Town, and that is what led to her firing by the DA. Failure to do this will lead to collapse of our current cities because we cannot sustainably have any human settlement strategy that will accommodate the current growth of cities. The problem of human settlements, therefore, is directly linked to our own inability to devolve development to areas other than our current cities. Unless we do this, we will continue pumping money for short-term, unsustainable solution to the human settlements challenge. We reject this budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Mashabela. Ngibiza umhlonishwa uSithole.
Honorable Chairperson, this department is failing in its commitment to the National Development Plan and will not likely achieve the goals of creating of sustainable human settlement and improve quality of household life for all South Africans by 2030. Informal settlement continue to increase around the country, and with them, the attendance basic service delivered concern of millions of South Africans who continue to live in squality and insanitary conditions due to such unplanned and non-services special resident areas. Why is there no proper planning by provincial and local government to eradicate or at a very constrained the growth of informal settlement? This department must get the basic rights. In this regard, the IFP remains particular concerned
and wish to highlight the following issues for immediate department actions. The provision of title deed to beneficiaries remains a core challenge, and the current backlog, which 2015 was at 818,262 title deeds, not yet given to beneficiaries, which not to be eradicated by Plan 2020 to 2021, unless a more significant budget allocation greater than the current budget of 1.6 billion is made available. Incorrect budgeting between the various government spheres leads to over-allocation of budget and underspending, such as well continuing to see the province of Gauteng, the Northwest, the Limpopo, and local government and municipality cities like City of Johannesburg and City of Cape Town. The CRU is still inadequately budgeted for in the respect of maintenance, and I'm still not aware of any existing policy to upgrade our CRUs. Backyard dwellers remains unforgettable by department with no policy yet on the matter, which is a disgrace. The department entitled dealings with rural development must be more visible to the public. Why is this not being prioritized? Lastly, Chairperson, we are noticing a considerable general apart by the department in which, in respect of drafting and introducing such needed legislation that we need to deal with more of issues raised there today. We trust that the department would heed this call, and the priority will be given to introduce legislations and policy aiming at eradicating these shortcomings and placing the department back on track to obtain its 2020 commitment to national department. Minister, ngokhulu ukuhlonipha nangokhulu ukwethemba ukuthi kunama illegal connection ezindlu ekhona kuma provinces zonke ekakhulukazi eGauteng okumanje kufanele ukuthi kube khona attendance ukuthi ihambe ziyolungiswa. Kukhona isimo sama hostela angakwazi ukulungiswa kuze manje asesimene lengulube engakwazi ukuhlala kuwo. Minister, ngithi kunama informal settlement akhona njengako eClip Town kuze kube namhlanje awakwazanga kulungisa. Ngalo ndlela ndabe Minister noma sixhasa ibudget kodwa sithi noma sixhasa ibudget kodwa sithi uMinister akahamba ayobheka zonke lezi zinto esikhala ngazo. Siyathokoza.
Sibonga kakhulu kumhlonishwa uSithole. I now call upon Honorable Sheikh Imam. Okay, honorable members.
Thank you.
Can we give Honorable Sheikh a hearing, please? Thank you so much, Honorable Sheikh.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Let me start off.
Kungadlalwa ngabantu emuva.
Honorable Kawula.
Nange siyokhuluma lapha na.
Oh, thank you, Honorable Kawula. That is not a point of order, please. Can you continue?
Sitshelani mayikhona kanti floor is crossing namanje.
Kawula, please.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Let me start off by addressing my colleague, Honorable Bara, or Baha, whatever his name is. Baha. He spent a lot of time here, House Chair.
Okay, honorable members.
Criticizing, talking about every other province but the Western Cape.
Honorable Imam,
now let me give him some statistics about the Western Cape.
There is a point of order. Honorable Baha.
No.
Can you be quiet, honorable members? Honorable Baha.
Chair, let me make this clear. If I correct you on my surname, you never say whatever it means. My surname is Baha, and that's who I am.
Thank you, Honorable Baha. Thank
you. Honorable House Chair.
Honorable members, please.
Now, Honorable Baha stands here
Thank you so much, Honorable
and
Imam.
talks about every other province but the Western Cape. Now let me start off by saying, right now they have allocated or given a tender for 3,000 units, of which only 10% is going to the poorest of the poor. He talks about people waiting for 20 years. I can tell you right here in the Western Cape, people are waiting for 25 and 30 years and have never been given a house. Let me also turn around and tell you, they have underspent in the capital fund, they have underspent in the urban development fund, they cannot even use their budget. Now let me also turn around and tell you, you talk about the informal settlements. Go and look at your backyard and see how poorly the people are living in the Western Cape under shocking conditions. You have done nothing to improve.
Okay, Honorable Steenhuisen, why are you rising?
As chairperson, the honourable member is misleading the House. If the honourable member wants to know who was in charge of Cape Town 25 years ago, the mayor is sitting over there.
Honourable
It's the
Chairperson.
point of debate. Thank you so much. You may continue, Honourable.
Honourable Chairperson, I had people from Heinz Park in the Philippines in this very house who told you how they have feces dumped all over around their houses. So what is the member talking about? Some other province? He must put his own house in order. Let me tell you, in 5 years, they only built 62 houses. In 5 years. That is what they did.
Honourable members.
Let me tell you, in the Western Cape.
Honourable members, sorry, Honourable Imam. Honourable members, can I plead with you, please? Can you not drown the speaker, please? And, no, Honourable members, let us listen to him. And can I also plead with the people in the gallery not to take part in the debate, please? Can you let the honourable members to do that on your behalf? But honourable members, let us try not to drown the speaker. Please, please. You may continue, honourable
Honourable
member.
Chairperson, what we as the National Freedom Party is calling for intervention by the National Department. You can see that this side is in a mess. You can see they can't even manage their affairs. You can see they are gagging their own members. You can see they are becoming irrelevant. Now, what, Minister, they are doing? In terms of the medium-term budget policy statement, they are supposed to provide 8,963 sites and 9,467 units. Ask them how many they have produced. Ask them. Let me tell you, up to today, they are still evicting the people. And we are calling on the National Department to put a moratorium because they are selling the land to their own funders so that they can get kickbacks. That is what they are doing.
Honourable Sheikh, unfortunately, your
So they are
time has
taking this
expired.
land
Thank you very
and
much.
giving it to their own people. The National Freedom Party supports this budget tabled here today.
Thank you, honourable member. Okay, honourable members. Order, honourable members, order. I now call upon the Deputy Minister to come to the podium.
Chairperson, Minister Nama India Mfeketo, Deputy Minister Skwacha, Chairs of the Portfolio Committee of Human Settlements, Honorable Notawe Mafu, MECs, MMCs, Honorable Members of Parliament, Director General Mbulelo Changana, Chairs and CEO of Human Settlements Institutions, all honored guests, including Honorable Mfeketo and Nabezukulwana bam. Allow me to dedicate my speech to the following people: Rosalia Bloch, 84, and Aubrey Jackson, 96, who were found murdered at their home. She will be remembered for her dedication in the struggle for a better life for all, as well as Brenda Leibovitz, who was also a member of NUSAS and a member of United Women's Organizations. May their souls rest in peace. Chairperson, as we celebrate 100 years of Tata Mandela and Mama Sisulu, the department will host the Youth Leadership Camp in partnership with Robben Island Museum and Children Fair in Paarl and in Qunu in the Eastern Cape. This is an annual event of the department which started since 2014. Last year we had a good participation of learners from Nelson Mandela School of Science and various schools in the Western Cape.
Point of order,
at Robben
Chairperson.
Island.
Honorable Deputy Minister, can I take a point of order? Yes, Honorable Kaul.
Ngizwa ngiphatheka kabi ukuthi
Honorable
angizwa
Kaula,
nje
which point are you
bephakamisa
rising on?
umuntu wesifazane
Honorable Kaula, but that is
uWinnie
not a point
Mandela.
of order.
Njalo masibelesela ngabantu besilisa
Point of order. Can we allow the Deputy Minister to continue?
ningadlali ngani
May you continue,
nasimisleader
Deputy
mina.
Minister?
To honor Mama Sulu, we shall do the following. We shall host leadership indaba in Gauteng. We shall launch a book of women in human settlements. Let me salute the women of Sawik for leaving their comfort homes and camping at Sukulumi village for the last 3 years. Chairperson, these women recently completed 500 units allocated to them. In this process, they established 6 women cooperatives. We handed over these homes with the Gauteng MEC, Uhuru Moilwa, and Nkosi Mkhambi Mahlangu. We also handed over 8 vehicles to the cooperatives at the end of the project. This project won a merit for a best rural housing project for national and provincial government awards. This is one of the hand-holding matching contractor which should be duplicated in all provinces. Chairperson, later this month, the department, once more, it will also hand over 300 units from the 1956 project by women also, Olivens, Bush, and Orchards. In this particular project, there are 19 women-owned construction business, including the business forum of the area. In the course of this year, we will be visiting projects allocated to women on the issue of 30% allocation of quota within the human settlements value chain. Last year, in August, during this Women's Build, we visited one of the women-owned projects in Bendle. I was accompanied by the MEC Ravi Pillay and the local municipality mayor, Councillor Ndlela. 1,500 units were built, and young people were capacitated through EPWP incentive grant. The positive thing that has happened is the formation of CFO forum in the department. The establishment of this forum means that women and youth economic empowerment remains the key performance areas of CFOs, especially now that this 30% is in DORA. The NHBRC has continued with its program of transformation charter, as well as its program of training women contractors in partnership with the KIPS Institute. We thank the NHBRC for this wonderful work. Women are also showing boldness, Chairperson, in terms of the interest in other areas within the human settlement value chain. They are beginning to diversify. They are suppliers of building material. They go on for green buildings. They go for management, to mention just a few. Let me also congratulate Temi and Ramcol for winning the best youth-owned construction projects in the youth category. The former won as an established contractor and the latter as a matching contractor at the government awards. Let me also applaud Northwest for being the province which allocated 1976 housing units to youth in all the regions. Allow me to take this opportunity to thank to thank the Brol Group for rebuilding the house of Mama Nomatlobe Mbulu, a lady that has 2 children who are autistic, and their house was falling on them. So the house was rebuilt by this company, and it was handed over to them in December. Brol has signed MOU with AAB to train our youth brigades on real estates and facility management. The department, NHBRC, HDA, and Nature is partnering with the partnering with private sector, namely Yabasha, Tassol Solar Energy, Hydroform, Afriform, Mdala kakhulu yona nto, and Brol. These companies will provide job placement for all those whom we are training. Chairperson, I worked with the Deputy Minister Godfrey Oliphant in the Northern Cape, in the distressed mining town, where we handed over 22 houses, and each house is 80 square meters. The big houses. It was interesting because it's HDA who was an implementing agency here, and they built very big houses. The money we got from Genko, and Hoshi Bareki was very excited about this development. Jove Murolong, the local municipality mayor, was there as we were handing over the houses. Last year, we also had World Cities Day in KZN at Tekwini Municipality, which was attended by mayors from Africa, and also SALCA delegation was there, including Deputy Minister Andri Snell was also attended there. I just want to say, in terms of the delegation to Malaysia, which was led by myself, Deputy Minister Andri Snell, and the Director General Mbulelo Changana, I want to thank all those South Africans who were part of the team in WOOF 9, particularly our communication. World Urban Forum met in Kuala Lumpur in February 2018. This meeting was to find a holistic approach to implementing the new urban agenda. UN Habitat and AU STC 8 help with the implementation plan. Here in South Africa, we have the Integrated Urban Development Forum as our implementation platform for the new urban agenda. Funa ukuthi namhlanje xa silapha sikhumbula abantu abasishileyo pha eTaiwan.
Honorable Kawula.
Anakunceda mna Shem.
Honorable
Bye-bye.
Kawula. Honorable Kawula. Okay, thank you very much, Deputy Minister. But can I plead, Honorable Kawula, don't drown the speaker, please. Yes, you can have your comments and interject, but please, I'm just pleading with you for the smooth running of our debate. Can I now call upon Honorable Machege?
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister, Honorable Members, guests at the gallery, good afternoon. Outcome 8 of the outcome-based performance approach that speaks to the mandate of the department adopted in January 2010 places responsibility on the part of the department to provide sustainable human settlements and improved quality living environment. However, visiting Ward 28 in Soweto-on-Sea in Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality, where houses were built pre-2010, you will find a totally different and devastating reality. This has resulted to the community launching a petition with the Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature. These citizens are currently registered and counted as beneficiaries of the RDP houses by the Human Settlements Department. Yet their situation can be best described as a glorified squatter camp. Let's go and check there. In 2015, the Nelson Mandela Municipality Human Settlements Department promised that the beneficiaries of the Zanemvula priority project would be temporarily removed to enable for the rectification program to correct the defects. 3 years later, these citizens continue to live with graves as their neighbors, with absolutely no space of hope for economic, social, and activities and inclusion. For them to bury their loved ones, they have to rely on facilities far outside where they reside. Chairperson, many of the houses and settlements built between 1994 and 2010 are a far cry from the acceptable and current national policy, national norms, and standards for housing and human settlements development. In Ward 28, our people are cramped in overcrowded and dysfunctional spaces of less than 100 square meters, with regular service interruptions. Chairperson, the department has to go back to basics. In this regard, we propose the following. The department should conduct an assessment of all houses and settlements that were built between 1994 and 2010 against the current policy, norms, and standards. It must evaluate whether they are consistent with the Outcome 8, which provides for sustainable human settlements and improved quality of household life. In the event of discrepancies, as in the case in Ward 28, the minister must make policy proposals consistent with the rectification program and other relevant legal prescripts to elaborate a plan that the department can and will implement to rectify these anomalies. In this regard, Honorable Minister, make contact with the Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature so that you can have access to the petition that carries the details of this challenge. Also, you can make Ward 28 as your pilot project. Chairperson, as part of attending to this national challenge, the minister, together with her provincial counterpart, should consider making an urgent visit to this ward in order to find for themselves the real circumstances defining our people in a democracy. Also, Honorable Minister, consider joining the Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature during their public participation week, which starts on the 28th of May to the 1st of June. In closing, Chair, Ward 28 is an epitome of a lack of broad national housing delivery goals, a lack of monitoring and financial and non-financial performance of provinces and municipalities. It also speaks to lack of consultation with all stakeholders in the housing delivery chain, including civil society and the private sector. Nevertheless, UDM supports the program, the budget report for the delivery of houses. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Machege. Honorable Vessels.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. The successful execution of this department's mandate is sabotaged by maladministration, corruption, and looting. Provincial departments of human settlements are plagued by billions of rands of irregular expenditure and fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and the inability to spend their conditional grants. Whilst human settlements budget cuts are experiencing budget cuts, this is especially unacceptable and should be addressed. The department allows itself to be exploited by contractors, inflated prices, and substandard workmanship is common. Houses fall apart. Built houses, Chairperson, there are many people that received houses more than 10 years ago, just to have them a few years later be demolished due to poor workmanship. But till today, those houses, Minister, has not been rebuilt. That is paying lip service to dignity. The right to own property is important, yet beneficiaries of RDP houses are not, in most cases, receiving title deeds. The backlog in terms of title deeds seems to be a political maneuver by the ANC to keep their voters dependent on them. In the Free State, under the premiership of the ruling party Secretary General Ace Magashule, the Department of Human Settlements transferred 631 million rand to contractors, including Claudi Motsoeneng and former Minister Mbalula's wife, to build houses. This in 2010. Till to date, no house has been built. Who stole that money? Honorable Chairperson, apartheid. Apartheid. Did apartheid steal that money? No. The ANC connected, the ANC corrupt stole that money. You cannot blame apartheid for those corrupt contractors and corrupt officials who deprived the poor of houses. Who benefits from the majority of money appropriated to human settlements? Not the poor, Honorable Chairperson, but the ANC cadres, the corrupt and political elite. There is a huge problem in this department, and Minister, you should address that problem. There should be consequence management. Those who steal should bear the consequences. It is time that people cannot just get away with it. It is time that officials who mismanage and are guilty of maladministration should be put to task. Accountability is important. Scapegoating should stop. Scapegoating towards the past and towards apartheid is not going to solve the plight of the poor. Taking accountability and admitting to your shortcomings and the maladministration that is currently occurring will maybe be a step in the right direction. Chairperson, we need a responsible government. We cannot have a government that allows these examples that I have mentioned to occur. That is not a caring government. That is a government that only cares about themselves, their own political power, and nothing with regards to the actual plight of the poor and the people of South Africa. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Wessels. Honorable Carter.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, it's a pity we stand here, we can't even see the Minister. Okay. Chairperson, the national budget presented earlier this year, and which informs this budget vote, brought once again home the stark and tragic consequences of a decade of bad and corrupted governance, state capture and the repurposing of a state for nefarious ends, the white-anting of government capacity, reckless fiscal management and rising debt levels, of wastage and abuse and looting of our fiscus and the resources of a state, the bloating of our civil service to unsustainable levels, the destruction by the ruling party of investor confidence and economic growth. The consequence of a decade of betrayal of our nation by the ruling party becomes clearer with each passing day. Instead of sunshine, we are facing a perfect storm with a ruling party at its center. And now, government must begin to process the undoing the damage done to the state, the fiscus and the economy by amongst means, implementing broad austerity measures, fiscal consolidation and cutbacks on expenditure. And this must be done in the face of rising demands upon government as a consequence of poor governance, failing service delivery and rising unemployment, poverty and inequality. Now, Chairperson, the Department of Human Settlements is a case in point. The core mandate of the department originates from the imperatives of Section 26 of the Constitution, that is to establish and facilitate in collaboration with the provinces and our municipalities a sustainable housing process. Now, Chairperson, just as the ANC doesn't always know their constitution, unfortunately JZ is not around anymore. Section 26 clearly says, everyone has the right to have access to adequate housing. Section 26(2) reads, the state must take reasonable legislative and other measures within its available resources to achieve a progressive realization of this right. That is section 26 for those that didn't hear. Now, the reason we find ourselves in the situation we are in, Minister, and I really have confidence in you, Minister, that we are in this government is because of the weakness of a government in implementing what is in the Constitution and what is in our policies. That weakness must be addressed. Stop making squatters out of our people. Most of the people don't want to be squatters, okay? Give them title deed of land. Give them title deed of a property, and most of them will build their own houses. Government has got in their possession so much land. Let us give them the title deeds, and a lot will build their own. Instead of the dilapidated houses and the fraud and corruption we see in the tender processes. As our population increases and unemployment, poverty, and inequality become more rampant as a consequence of your failed policies, and as more people leave our rural areas to seek work and better life in the urban areas, so the pressure for housing escalates and the backlog increases. Much of the wide-scale land grabs that are becoming a daily occurrence in our country are less to do with land restitution and the political grandstanding around expropriation of land without compensation. And it's got more to do with a failure to deliver upon a sustainable urban housing process. And when more funding would assist, we want that the cupboard is bare because economic growth has stagnated, because our fiscal divide was looted and squandered by the ANC government. Thank you.
Honourable Dudley.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
You prefer
Minister,
to talk from there?
It's poor quality, and it's made for short people with flat shoes on.
Okay, now we'll allow
and
you
I've
to
got
do
a sore
so.
throat, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Honourable Minister, the ACDP will speak today once again to the obligation created by the Housing Act that in the development of housing, the needs of vulnerable, marginalised and poor persons must be promoted, and the Housing White Paper, which describes a duty on the state to reflect an awareness of special needs in housing policies and subsidy programs. Now, the ACDP has for many years been pleading with government to respond adequately to those special housing needs for vulnerable people. Applicable policy has been waiting over 20 years now for approval. Disasters like Isidamini occur because of the failure to deliver on this mandate, and this tragedy is as much the responsibility of this department as any other. The vulnerable, marginalised and poor people affected by delays in this regard include the mentally ill, orphans and vulnerable children, older people, people with disabilities, victims of domestic violence, terminally ill, frail, and totally destitute people, those receiving substance abuse rehabilitation services, parolees, and people released on probation, also victims of serious crime and human trafficking. The ACDP and thousands of carers of vulnerable people urgently appeal to you, Minister Mfaketa, and call on government to prioritise the approval and implementation of the Special Needs Housing Programme policy, the SNHP, that's just waiting for MINMEC approval and your signature. The ACDP calls on Parliament's portfolio committees to apply the necessary pressure on departments such as social development, human settlements and health to work with Minister Mfaketa to get the special housing needs policy over its last hurdle. The ACDP also calls on the new Human Settlements Ombudsman, Themba Mthethwa, to get involved in cutting through the red tape and pressuring for this vital SNHP policy approval on behalf of our most vulnerable South Africans. Stakeholders have appealed to the Human Rights Commission. They sent the Minister a letter to request her to expedite and sign the policy and met with the DHS Portfolio Committee in November. The department confirmed their support for this uncontentious approval, yet this policy is still not on the internal and MINMEC agenda for signature. So the SNHP policy requires no additional budget right now, just your signature, Honourable Minister. And basically, you have a huge task ahead of you, and the ACDP wishes you every success in facing this task. The steps and plans that you outlined today that your department will take to overcome these challenges are crucial as the mood of the electorate grows increasingly impatient. So the ACDP intends to support this vote in the hope that the new leadership will be able to make this desperately needed significant difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dudley. I now call upon Honorable Vol Marens.
Honorable House Chair, Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, honorable members, our people have been living in squalor for far too long, and the struggle towards achieving the Freedom Charter's aspiration of houses, security, and comfort for all still continues. Ensuring that all South Africans live in decent conditions in the form of suitable human settlements is a commitment that the ANC-led government will continue to advance and raise and realize progressively. The work performed by the Department of Human Settlements through its budget allocation assists in transforming the living conditions of our people for the better. This is the reason why the ANC supports the budget of the Department of Human Settlements. One of the ways of addressing the historical dispossession of our people and improving their quality of life is through the provision of title deeds. In our 2014 manifesto, we, the ANC, and no other party for that matter, committed to eliminate a historical backlog of title deeds, and the new homeowners in the subsidy market will be issued with title deeds on occupation. The objective of the title deeds restoration programs
Chair.
is to promote and foster...
On the point of order, Chair.
Oh, yes, honorable member.
Can the member take a question?
Can I check from him? Can you take a question, honorable member?
Unfortunately not. But the objective
I just want to ask, where is who killed Parkway? Moses Parkway?
is to
Who
promote
killed Moses
and foster
Parkway?
an increase in
Can
housing.
you give us an answer, please?
Wealth with advancing the eradication of poverty and inequality. We are therefore encouraged by the progress made in provinces such as KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. Delivering on this objective has not been very simple, and it has not been an easy task. And a streamlined approach is therefore required to manage title deeds. One cannot ignore the evidence where the department is making provisions and showing an effort in ensuring our people's security of tenure and enabling them to participate in the economy through issuing homeowners with their title deeds. Honorable vessels, the new title deed restoration grant, which is allocated 518 million in the 2018-19 financial year, is proof that the ANC-led government is committed to the task at hand. In addition, Program 3 Human Settlements Delivery Support of the department has been allocated 95.1 million over the medium term to provide technical and administrative support to the provinces in order to eradicate the deeds backlog by 2020-2021 financial years. We are confident that these conditional grants to provinces will enhance and drive towards issuing title deeds to our beneficiaries and promote equity and entrench ownership. Let me say, Honorable Minister, I was a bit excited, but my excitement was short-lived when Honorable Baga tried to show both and claim victory in terms of the recently allocation of title deeds by yourself, the ANC-led minister, just here in Delft a few days ago. You have restored the equity, and you have made sure that the sense of ownership of this disadvantaged community is entrenched. The revitalization of mining towns is another area that the ANC is focused on as it embarks on improving the quality of life of people which the apartheid state deliberately configured to be characterized by degrading and inhumane conditions. In the ANC's 53rd and 54th conference resolutions, we committed to improve the living conditions of people living around mining towns through upgrading and transforming these dwellings into integrated communities. As a result, the medium-term strategic framework outlines a target of 22 mining towns to be supported through human settlement interventions. It is therefore no surprise that the Department of Human Settlements has ring-fenced funding for distressed mining towns and labor-sending areas. We are pleased that 1,300 planned sites and 324 units in Machabeng local municipality in the Free State, for that matter, form part of the project to revitalize mining towns in our country. Military veterans have not been forgotten by the ANC government or neglected in the life of the Department of Human Settlement. Instead, the department's 2018 and 19 plans and budget reflect the 53rd and 54th National Conference resolutions, where we committed to improve the living conditions of our military veterans. We also made a commitment to fast-track and complete the provision of housing to military vets through appropriate consultation and applicable legislation. The Free State, once more, is a province as a shining example in this regard, as it had earmarked 10 million rand from its own 2018-19 budget towards the funding of housing projects for military vets. Apart from providing housing, the Human Settlements Department, through its entity, the National Home Builders Regulations Council, NHBRC, will facilitate the training of 450 military veterans in the 2018-19 financial year. The NHBRC is responsible for regulating the home building industry. It will equip military vets together with other designated groups with technical and home construction skills that will enable them to participate actively in the construction and home building sector. The intervention is in line with the commitment we have made to provide and implement structured support and economic opportunities to black-owned companies in the housing and residential property sector, with special attention to those owned by women, youth, military vets, and people with disabilities. Through this budget, we also encourage provincial departments to align their priorities with the departments. The ANC therefore supports this budget. Thank you.
The next speaker, order, honorable member. The next speaker is the Honorable Malatsi.
House Chairperson, thank you very much. Many of us here today can relate to the phrase that home is where the heart is, because we are fortunate enough to own one. For the privileged, their homes are in secure enclaves of gated communities and secure apartments. For those who are in cabinet, it is in the comfort of luxurious accommodation provided by the state. For many others who live in rural areas, where they are based on tribal land, disconnected from centers of opportunities, basic services remain a luxury rather than a right. Regardless of where our homes are and how they look, they are spaces that should affirm our dignity. However, a roof over one's head alone does not inspire an environment where one can live comfortably and thrive in society. We all need homes in safe communities with reliable access to water and sanitation to get on with our daily lives. We all want our children to grow up in environments where they have access to world-class social, educational, and recreational amenities. We all want to settle in areas with decent roads and a reliable public transport system that can take us to work, to school, and all places of leisure. While it is not deniable that many South Africans have been afforded access to quality basic services and housing opportunities since 1994, far too many people have been waiting for far too long for their turn to enjoy these services. The DA believes that it is grossly unfair that there are millions of poor South Africans, mostly black, who remain without services in communities that do not have water, sanitation, and roads 24 years after the birth of our democracy. I'll come to that, relax. In November 2017, my colleague Honorable Baha and I conducted an oversight visit in Rockdale in Mpumalanga. There we met an 83-year-old Ntate Mahlangu who broke down in tears as he told us that he had still not been allocated his house despite registering for it in 1996. And he told us that, "Mohumadi wa ka o hlokofetse ke emetse ntlo ya ka. Le nna mo dijareng tse ke leng go tsona go sho gore ke tlo hlokofala ke emetse ntlo ya ka." Go iragala jwang gore motho ya nang le dilemo tse ke nang le tsona a hloke ntlo mola go na le bashanyana ba ba lekanang le ditlogolo tsa ka ba na le ntlo? Ntate Mahlangu's painful story is not an isolated one. There are many others like him who have been robbed of their opportunity to own a house. This is why we are of the strong view that we need a single national housing database that is fair, reliable, transparent, and a credible way of identifying beneficiaries and allocating houses. As part of our efforts to build caring administrations where we govern, the DA-led coalition government in the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality launched Operation Buyisa Isdima. Operation Buyisa Isdima seeks to prepare an audited and verifiable list of beneficiaries, identify those who still need title deeds, and establish instances of illegal occupation in order to return houses to their rightful owners, because there are instances where houses have been invaded by those who are not supposed to be in them. This campaign is implemented by a housing task team under the political leadership of MMC for Human Settlements, Ngaba Banga, to ensure that there is an 8-month turnaround period from when the ground is first broken at a housing project to when the rightful owners receive their verified title deeds. Honorable Chairperson, we are mindful that as urban migration intensifies, the 30% portion for the USDG funding will become increasingly insufficient to transform the ever-rising number of informal settlements into livable human settlements. The DA understands that in order to achieve proper services to human settlements, to informal settlements, we need government to explore creative ways to provide for people with options of access to affordable housing. To this end, a DA national government will establish a home voucher system which will give residents 150,000 Rand vouchers that they can use to build their own home or use that as deposit towards an already existing home. House Chairperson, we believe that one of the most powerful ways of creating inclusive property ownership is to remove all the bureaucratic obstacles that hinder potential first-time buyers, mostly young, from affording property. It is to this end that we propose total abolition of transfer fees for first-time buyers below the age of 35 years on properties under 2 million Rand. We will remove this additional cost associated with purchase of property so that we can ensure affordability. When we take government very soon, when you are on this side in 2014, you must prepare yourself to deliver speeches on this side. In addition, House Chairperson, we are advocating for the amendment of Section 10 of the Housing Act of 1997 to reduce the waiting period for selling government-built housing units from 8 years to at least 2 years, because we want to diversify the range of options that are available for beneficiaries of state housing to leverage those for economic empowerment. Honorable Minister, you seriously need to review the size, the mandate, and the performance of all these entities that report under you. Many of these entities have bloated boards who spend much of their time in meaningless meetings without any tangible outcomes. And they are using these boards as instruments for gallivanting all over the country and overseas without any results. And Honorable Mafu agrees with this. And Honorable Mafu, ndikuthanda gqithi, but why more Shalento? Why more? So let's be honest about underspending in the housing sector. 3 provinces, Limpopo, Gauteng, and Northwest, collectively had 600 million had to be taken away from them because they couldn't spend their money. Northwest lost 300 million. Limpopo lost 150 million. Gauteng lost 150 million. So before you throw all these stones that you have, start in your own home. And Deputy Minister, there's nothing to celebrate about housing delivery in the Free State. You know, the Free State is one of the most underperforming provinces in this regard, to the extent that the HOD had the audacity to say in a meeting that they can't build houses because they can't find beneficiaries. So there's nothing to celebrate there.
Honorable Member, your time is now expired.
Saved by the bell.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. The next speaker is the Honorable Nkadimeng.
Modulasetulo wa ntlo ye e hlomphegago letona la lefapha la tša kago ya dintlo mohlomphegi Noma Indian Hlengethwa le motlatši wa gagwe Zoe Kotwa Fredericks kgoro ya lefapha tša kago ya mantlo le le etilego pele ke Ntate Changani le di MEC tša rena maloko a hlomphegilego a ntlo ye le baeng ba rena ra le dumediša modulasetulo, let me first take this opportunity and allow me to dedicate this budget vote speech to my mother who's turning 92 years on Sunday. Ke tswale pele ke re kago ya mantlo ke peapeano mo e mongwe le e mongwe e lego tšhia ya letšatši leo seo se bonagala gabotse ge mmušo o etilego pele ke ANC o tšweletša mananeo a wa sepelago le dipolisi tša gona ka thelelo bogwari le bopepetla. Honorable Chairperson, creating integrated sustainable human settlement, restoring the dignity of our people, ensuring their security of tenure and promoting their participation in the economy is at the heart of the commitment of the African National Congress. To give life to these aspirations, the Department of Human Settlement is given a mandate and a budget to dismantle exclusionary spatial patterns of the past as highlighted by President Cyril Ramaphosa in his State of the Nation address. It is no coincidence or not by chance that the ANC support the budget allocated to this department. Instead, it is through empirical evidence and many successes such as being world acclaimed for housing provision for the poor that the ANC wants the department to continue to implement programs that bring about a lasting change and improving the quality of life for our people. The 2018-19 budget allocation are an instrument for the ANC-led government to honor its commitment in the housing sector. Honorable Chairperson, in line with the agenda to radically transform the economy, it is encouraging to note that the Department of Human Settlement will continue to honor the RET agenda through having 30% set aside for designated groups, and this set aside are located in the Human Settlement Development Grant and the Human Settlement Development Grant of the department. This is one way how the department, through its budget allocation, is contributing towards the inclusion of African women, men, youth, and people with disability to participate in the economy. Financing of small and upcoming contractors through the National Urban Reconstruction and Housing Agency, which has a budget of 75.9 million in the 2018-19 financial year, also positively contributes to the radical economic transformation agenda of the ANC-led government. Yes. Despite all these efforts by the national government, it is disappointing to note that the DA-led metros, such as the city of Cape Town and Johannesburg, have failed to spend the Urban Settlement Development Grant in order to uplift and upgrade the informal settlements. Honorable Chairperson, the African National Congress long resolved to improve the living condition of our people. Upgrading informal settlement lies at the center of these commitments, which has been reiterated in the 53rd and the 54th National Conference resolutions. So far, the Department of Human Settlement has successfully implemented informal settlement upgrade programs in Mpumalanga, KwaZulu-Natal, and Eastern Cape. This work was enabled by the Urban Settlement Development Grant and the Housing Subsidy Development Grant allocation from Program 4 of the Department Housing Development Finance. We welcome the 90% budget allocation towards these grants in the 2018-19 financial year, as this will allow the crucial work of the Freedom Charter, which says, I quote, slums shall be demolished and new sub-S will be built where all have transport, roads, lighting, playing fields, and social centers, I close quote. To continue, it is encouraging again to note that the National Upgrading Support Program has been allocated 150 million in the 2018-19 financial year. This allocation will go a long way in improving capacity and providing technical support to 119 municipalities in planning and upgrading of informal settlement in South Africa. Honorable Chairperson, the provision of housing opportunities through state subsidies also form a key element in the work of the department as it bridges the gap and promotes inclusion and otherwise exclusionary economy and makes the market work. These housing opportunities are unlocked by initiatives such as the Government Employee Scheme, the Finance Link Subsidy Program, and the Rural Housing Loan Fund. Together, these funds facilitate access to housing, credit to allow income households, and those in the market, the gap market. The budget for the fund in the 2018-19 financial year is 48.6 million. The availability of these funds is a response to the ANC manifesto, where we committed to working with financial institutions and social partners to increase the provision of capital for housing. We acknowledge that our people do not have full knowledge of these progressive finance initiatives aimed at ensuring that our people have housing opportunities and do not discriminate based on class or economic status and location. We urge the department to extend its reach and ensure that awareness programs are implemented so that our people can take full advantage of the housing opportunities provided by the ANC-led government. We also urge the department to provide housing opportunities and improve the living condition of backyard dwellers. These are the people who can afford and are willing to pay for affordable rental accommodation, which the Department of Human Settlement has done well in implementing. A recent success in this area is the launch of the 300 million Tembisile social housing complex in Tshwane, which will house over 2,000 people in 733 mixed type accommodation. Re a leboga, Minister. Honorable Chairperson, the ANC-led government is a caring government that does not want its people to be without shelter. That is why the department has also responded to the call to provide student accommodation. The Department of Human Settlement, the Housing Development Agency, and the Social Housing Regulatory Authority have funded the upgrade of building for student accommodation at Mangosuthu University of Technology and in Brandfontein. This urban settlement development grant investment will ensure that 4,000 students have accommodation in the next 3 years. We also welcome the collaboration between the Department of Human Settlement and the Department of Higher Education and Training to craft innovative strategies to resolve the issues of student accommodation in our country. Honorable Chairperson, the ANC welcomes and commends the establishment of introduction of a new grant, which is the Emergency Housing Grant. This grant, which is an amount of approximately 500 million in the 2018-19 financial year, will assist the Department of Human Settlement to proactively respond to disaster-related emergencies.
Let me just hear what the honorable member have to say. Yes,
Sikhalo
honorable member.
akufuneki phela mangabe kukhulunywa bese senza nalento ethiwa mampunga. Imango suthi yakhiwa umango
Oh, honorable
suthi
member,
Butelezi. Not
take your
ANC.
seat. Please take your seat. That's not a point of order. Continue, honorable member.
Honorable Chairperson, the Department...
Order, honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members. Continue, honorable Nkadime.
Thank you, Chairperson. The Department of Human Settlement is proactively responding to disaster related to emergencies and ensure that our people are not left homeless or stranded during incidents such as that of Imizamo Yethu, where the city of Cape Town and Western Cape Province have been found wanting when it comes to their response rates in disaster-ridden informal settlements. Honorable Chairperson, we acknowledge with regret that the Western Cape is failing to spend on its USDG since its inception, while we are having people at Imizamo Yethu without shelter and sanitation. While we are having Honorable Baha Asitandile, a wheelchair-bound resident in Kosovo at Philippi, who is not able to go to reach the toilet because of poor condition. We also, Honorable Chair, are surprised because we have also Zukiswa, who has been living in the RR section of Kaelicha since 1999, uses a bucket system during the day and night inside the shack because she fears to go outside and use external toilet. What are you saying about this, Honorable Baha? Don't talk about, well, welcome. Charity begins at home. This injustice happens under the DA-led Western Cape Province that has only not failed to spend 100% of its USDG. Mmusho o etile go pele ke ANC ga o swane le bao ba rege go solwa ba bina kosha gomme re ba bitsa gore ke bo mabina go sola bao re a ba bona gona bjale ba tla mo ba bolela ka taba ya corruption. The ANC-led government does not condone corruption. If you see corruption, report it so that it is investigated and the perpetrator face the law. Bjale ka gore DA bona re a ba bona ke bona bo mabina go sola le gona ga ba tswafe ra tseba gore mola pula ena ba ka no thekga malwala gomme ba šila le mo puleng. Re kgopela kgoro ya mantlo gore e re thuše go rarolla ngalaba ya taba ye ya Asitandile wa kwa Kosovo le Zukiswa gore badudi ba Imizamo Yethu le bona ba kgwetse madulo. Re le mmusho o etile go pele ke ANC re re ke dipitsi mebala ya tsona e bonagala dinageng tša lefase ka moka. Dinaga tša lefase ka moka di tlotla Afrika Borwa lefapheng la kago ya mantlo. Re ba kwele ge ba re bea dipataka ba bile ba re fa maemo a pele dinageng ka moka tša lefase ge re be re ile conferenceng kwa Quito. We thank all the provinces that have done well in housing provision, especially Mpumalanga, which is at position 1. Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Carter and Honorable Vessels, they came here and complained about corruption. I have already explained what they must do. Ba tlogele go tla mo ba tlo bina o ka re ke bana bao ba letetšeng ge mmago bona a sola. Honorable Stole le Honorable Sheikh re a leboga gobane le a bona gore ANC-led government e dira eng. Ge e le mmago rena yena Honorable Mashabela, batho ba Afrika Borwa ba go theleditše gomme ba botše ditsebe tša bona ba di hlwaya gabotse ba go kwele ge o ganana le gore budget vote ye e amogelwe. Gomme re tseba gabotse gore ba go kwele ebile ba na le yona signal ba tlo kopana le wena ka di-elections. Honorable Chairperson, the ANC-led government is doing very well. We acknowledge where there are gaps. We understand that. Honorable Chair, re a amogela gore go na le di-challenges. Ebile re a tseba gore lefapha la kago ya dintlo le tlo tšwela pele le aga dintlo gobane bana ba tšwela pele ba belegwa tšatši ka letšatši. Re a leboga re le African National Congress. The ANC support the budget vote.
Order, honorable members. Before I call the honorable minister, I want to recognize in the gallery a former member of this house who also happened to be at one stage the South African ambassador to Germany, Mr. Mos Chikane, who's in the gallery. Welcome back to Parliament. It is indeed good to see you. Thank you. Honorable members, as I've indicated at the beginning, we've accordingly adjusted the time of the minister that overran by just more than a minute. And the deputy minister saved on her time. That has now been added to the time of the minister. Honorable Minister. Minister has 6 minutes.
Thank you very much, House Chair. I want to take this opportunity, Chair, to thank everybody who contributed constructively, but even those I didn't hear what they were saying because they were complaining, I thank them because I think it's an opportunity for all of us to make sense of what is it that we are about in this department. In all honesty, I think we've turned the corner. We are delivering since 1994. And yes, there are challenges, honorable members. There are challenges. And we wouldn't be honest if we were saying everything today would be hunky-dory when in fact the problems in this country started in 1652 and 1948. This is exactly why we are saying, we want to expropriate land so that we do away with squatter communities. We want to build houses for South Africans and create dignity that they deserve. And this we will do. I can commit to that. We are going to do that. Now, for members, for honorable members who talk about corruption and not report that, I want to appeal. ANC doesn't condone corruption. And if you see corruption being done, you have a responsibility. not only to report that, but to tell us so that we know what is happening. I think we've taken drastic steps as this department to, in fact, shift the policies, create many, many entities that begins to build for all categories of those people who want housing. And I'm confident, with your help as parliamentarians, we will succeed in the task that is facing us. I'm sure you all agree with me. You will not sleep peacefully at night if there are people who don't have houses, if there are people who are unemployed, if there are people who are hungry in their own land. It is not safe for you. So my advice in this particular parliament, we must all hold hands and make sure that this department succeed so that you can sleep peacefully and know that nothing will happen to you because you are counted amongst those who changed the history of apartheid and segregation into a history of a democratic South Africa where everybody have dignity in his own land. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable members, that concludes the debate of this mini plenary. The mini plenary will now rise.